Well, hey guys, what's up? Snoo here. Welcome to the end of the drama, at least as far as I'm concerned, once I get through this video. As you can see, we got something of a situation on our hands. Don't worry guys, I think it's fine. It's just a particularly bad case of the haters. These kind of things tend to blow over. And maybe several people are hoping I would just blow over and not say much of anything, but you guys know how it is. I'm not like that. I can't just let something like that go, not when it's damaging to the reputation as much as it has been. You see, there's something kind of brewing underneath in the community, a little bit of a back and forth between me and one Fubgun, okay? And you might recall his name being presented in the video recently. I'm going to refer to that in a little bit. But this video is kind of a response from me to just about everything. Basically everything that is related that's taken place. What I've been having to go through, what I've been dealing with, and how I deal with it, which is talk directly to you guys, go straight to the audience. And you know, I'm not trying to win any friends here. I'm not trying to do this for clicks, believe it or not. I'm just trying to get what I deserve, which I believe is a certain baseline level of respect, as that is my brand with this channel. It's, you know, it's things like discipline, conscientiousness, all those 1,000 map runs, 100 maps, not 10, not 20, methodic testing, you know, that sort of thing. And I mean, this is self-evident. You just look at my channel, you just look at the history, look at all the videos, and there's like a 95% something ratio ups and downs. I mean, you guys can't really see these numbers now, but I mean, here they are. They're just right there. That's what it usually looks like until the last couple videos, and it just kind of seems out of the blue, right? It seems kind of crazy. What did I do? What did I say? Did I say something wrong? Obviously, name checking Fubgun didn't go very well for me in the immediate aftermath, but I think you'll see in the end, if you watch the rest of this video, you know, I don't really care where you are on the spectrum of liking me or my content. Actually, no, I shouldn't say like, I should say respect. Respecting me and my content and the things I do. But wherever you are on there, whether it's way off the deep end or you already, you know, pretty happy with how I do things, I think it'll move you up at a couple notches, at least a couple notches, I think you'll find. This video isn't really so much for people who are already very much on my side. It's not going to matter much because I'm not just after, you know, a handful of people, a small handful of people. I definitely want to see this channel grow, and I'm out to convince everybody. I think everybody has a chance. Everybody has a chance to be convinced. I think everybody has a chance to earn and to have been earned from respect, and that's kind of the golden word of the day, I guess, you know, because that's what I'm all about. So just throwing it right out there, not hiding anything. I just want people to refer to me as, you know, the guy who would never mislead people. Certainly never on purpose, but as someone who does what he says and backs it up with video proof, with the actions he takes. And video proof is definitely a big part of this video too, as you probably saw the thumbnail and with the title. It's definitely spicy. I know it may seem like I'm farming drama, but really I just want to clear my name and earn what's mine, what I believe is mine. So as per this video, we're going to break it down into 3 major sections. We're going to do backstory, and then I'm going to do a section called words versus words, and then we'll do a section called actions versus words, which will hopefully be the most fun. Actually, no, the conclusion will honestly probably be the most fun for some of you, as not all things that have come out of this have been negative. There have been a few gems, I guess you could say. But let's get you into the backstory here. So you're here because you want to hear my side of the story, and you might be here because you're familiar with what's going on. Basically, it has everything to do with what's going on Twitch. The only thing related to YouTube directly are, if you read the comments section of my last 2 videos, and who knows, maybe this video too. And then you see where I name checked Fubgun a couple of videos back, which may have come out of left field if you're like a PoE2 viewer, or if you're like a viewer of his but not Twitch or something like that. It's important for clarity to let you know that my presence is bigger on YouTube than it is on Twitch, and that's why the big reason why I'm posting this video here. And Fubgun's presence is definitely bigger on Twitch than it is on YouTube, and so, you know, I say a lot of things that people see here, and he says a lot of things that people see over there. and we kind of got to sync these up here. It's a little hard to do that, but I have a lot of clips of him, so you're going to see many of the things he says. I'm gonna honestly try to be as fair as I can, not take things out of context best I can. Yeah. So the story goes something like this from my vantage point. Shots were fired, not from me first, actually. I'll take you all the way back to the very beginning. So there's been a lot of cross-pollination between he and I, as he is a very talented content creator, both for making builds, guides, content, honestly very similar to me. A lot of, currency earning stuff. He's taken on the avatar of like racer, and that's what he cares about. He cares very, very deeply about like the league start process, which is a little different than me. But, a lot of similarities. And so we both care about bow builds, and things like that. Fast moving classes. Got to be efficient. Farming, doing anything. Very important in this game for both of us. And so our communities would cross over a bit, and people, would, from my community would go to his, and from his community would come to me, and, maybe they favored one more than the other or whatever, but there'd be a lot of questions, hey, did you see what Fubgun did this? Hey, did you see what Snoo did on this? Hey, did you see Fubgun's build? Did you see Snoo's build? All these different things. They would ask for advice, maybe just to get more information. It was honestly a great thing for the community to have not one, but two people kind of repping that relatively small segment of the community, I guess, the bow Andes. So whenever I would be put in a position where I'd have to critique something he's doing, let's say a new build guide, I would always try to do it with the most amount of respect, be as nice and favorable towards whatever he's doing. Like, if he made a decision I disagreed with, I'd say, well, okay, I see he's doing this, but actually, if it were me, I would probably do this. Use language like that. And, I think he did the same. He did the same for me, at least in the beginning. I noticed over time, as his crowd began to adjust, as he got more popular, his community seemed to change, warp a little bit into shall we say, slightly more toxic version of itself in the beginning. Well, he started critiquing my POBs with alacrity, and he would say things like, oh, Snoo's just padding the POBs, and he's doing, this or that, and it looks like he's trying to mislead people. It's what in the hell is he doing here? He didn't even check this box. It's even not being thorough at all. Words like this, and they're at least slightly disparaging to my integrity and what I represent, because that's kind of serious business. If I'm putting out there that I'm a very serious, conscientious person, and I'm being exposed either rightfully or wrongly that that isn't the case, and I'm somehow misleading people, that's a pretty big problem from my vantage point. Not every content creator is going to care on a level that I do, because different content creators have different things they care about. But rest assured, anyone who's in this space has something about their brand that they care deeply about, including Fubgun. So for me, it's this. And if obviously in the past, there have been times when I've been called out for having certain things set in a certain way. This is the path of building application. You've seen me use it many times. And I gotta say, this is a little monster in and of itself. It's really something precarious. Honestly, one of my biggest fears is that after you hear me talk about this, if you're somebody who's being an aspiring content creator for PoE1, you're probably going to back out of that decision. If you hear this, there's been a lot of videos made about a certain segment of the player base. It's extraordinarily toxic and loves to make a mockery of any sort of builds and guides and things they see. If they see anything, any funny business whatsoever, any holes in it, any boxes that aren't checked right, this better be exactly right. You better not click full life. You better not click endurance charges if it wouldn't be on a boss. If you're using custom mods, you better know exactly what you're doing. You better not set the integers up too high. I mean, recently I discovered that I was just way off basis. My four arrow artillery ballista was just a huge no-no at a 14 integer. I mean, this was actually like this is a grade A crime that I committed, and worthy of scorn, and you should basically just throw the entire thing out. And you might be wondering, what the heck are you even talking about? Well, I'm talking about a program that is supposed to tell you how the character would play. It shows you the numbers, it shows you the defenses, it shows you the life, And essentially, you're supposed to be able to know everything there is to know about a build and a character just by looking at this. You don't need to actually build it. You don't need to play it. You don't need to see it. You don't need to feel it. You don't need to press any buttons. You just need to see numbers, and that's it. You're basically the godfather of that build now. You can tell anyone anything about it, and even if it's not yours, you can talk smack about it. Nobody's going to stop you, at least if you're part of a certain club, if you're big enough and can get away with it. And FubGun is certainly reached that status, I would say, now. So I've had issues in the past with other content creators. There was a spicy sushi clip that's rotating about something that completely necroed this thing about me having soul eater buffs. On this build right here, guys, this was when I was a complete novice at making builds. Soul Thirst, Tornado Shot, Deadeye. This was my first serious attempt at a build. I actually did a voiceover. It spent so much time. I remember over 100 hours was spent in total making this build guide, and people loved it. I see there are a few names there, people I recognize, people have been here a long time. A lot of people in my community remember this build and really loved it. And just look at the comments on here. Just look at this. It doesn't even remotely reflect what you would see on the previous build guide. And why is that? Why is it because I suddenly got worse at making builds, or suddenly this build I made is trash and the one I made back then isn't? No, it's the complete opposite. This one is way worse than the current one. I've gotten so much better at making builds. It's just that I didn't represent it quite properly enough on there. And it's pretty hilarious that I got away with putting Soul Eater buffs on the POB last time, and I somehow misled a bunch of people into believing the build was good, that so many people loved it. Anyway, that after the fact, when it crossed the wrong desk, somebody said this is trash build because it got Soul Eater and it doesn't do that. It was never meant to be a bosser anyway. And so now that entire issue is necroed again, and you're blaming what was at that time a novice build creator who had no idea what he was really doing with the configs, and to chastise him not once, not only back then, for which I changed it when I found out it was wrong. I've been folding myself in a pretzel for like 3 years, basically trying to appease these people, and this is one of the worst vices of the PoE1 community as a whole, is this toxic, unbelievably just dripping toxicity culture that loves to just tear people apart, anyone they don't like especially. And it would seem that some people are turning against me now. Yeah, so back in 3.25, FubGun was looking at my path of building, and this was for the Warden, actually. The Warden that you see right here. This one that we already kind of just glanced at, and he thought it was just total bait. So that dramatically affected how many people joined in on the fun. I was really excited about brand new Ascendancy. There were obviously a lot of unknowns because it's brand new, so I didn't really know how to defend myself on something I didn't know, because I didn't know what I didn't know, right? I don't know exactly how well the build would perform. It was new Ascendancy. But he seemed to know better than I, even though he didn't work on the build, and maybe did some limited testing. I don't know, not on my build, clearly. But I decided to bide my time, because I told myself, okay, this doesn't sit well with me at all. And I don't know what I'm going to do next time. I don't know what I'm going to do, because if I dare make a build that would even remotely compete with his audience of people, his consumers of his content, I'm just sure he will do everything he can to look at this path of building, and if it's not airtight, which I actually went on my way to try and make it as airtight as I could, even if it is, there'll be something, because nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect, right? So I didn't know what to do. I've folded myself in a pretzel. I've changed things all the time, and I've just never seen the POB handbook, right? So I'm not privy to it because it doesn't exist. And that's another kind of message, overarching message, is that there is no arbiter of what is allowed to be in this program. It's not even part of the game. It's not even sanctioned by GGG. It's just a cabal of community members that decide what is and what isn't allowed. And just the idea on its face is ridiculous. And I really, really hope that the PoE2 community never succumbs to that, although I'm certainly worried that over time it may. For now, it seems like that same crowd doesn't even like that game, so I have a feeling that's a short-lived thing, but, you know, we'll see. That's not part of the topic of discussion in this video. So when I decided to eventually release the new updated version of Warden, because I knew it performed really well, and I did so many great things with it last time, and you can see my content, you know, 3.25, just so much of it. Just the Warden bows spanned throughout the entire thing, from League Start all the way to Double Tincture Tornado Shot Warden, and had a terrific time. Titanic Exiles, Wildwood 10k juice, all of it I ended up doing in the very end. Absolutely had a blast. Well, I decided to remake the character. I had so much fun, and we had a long time since the last league, and I played Freesia and 2 EAs and PoE 2. I wanted to play this one again. I wanted to have a go at it, maybe take the League Start a little more seriously, and I wanted to see if I could get more people along for the ride, because much to my dismay, a lot of people decided to go Deadeye last time, even with the brand new Ascendancy, and I was pretty sure Warden would be good, and I knew this time people needed to know. They needed to know that Warden was really good, and I was never going to just say overtly that the Warden is better than the Deadeye. I would say it's a great idea to give it a chance, and here's a bunch of reasons why you might want to do it, because that's how I operate. You know, that's how I go about things. I would never just try to claim an absolute. Not the case for Fubgun. He loves working absolutes. So he has made a guide for the Deadeye, which is pretty ironic because he doesn't even like bows or think they're all that good. But, you know, since he can hold, you know, multiple communities hostage, people in his own community will do whatever he does, and then people in the bow community will do whatever he does, and the rest is slim pickings. From there, you know, I just got to put up with whatever's the rest. So that is why all of that combined, knowing that he would rip the POB apart, knowing he was trying to grab as much as he could of the audience, which in and of itself, that secondary part, I don't have a problem with. The first part I do. I came up front and I said, guys, bows is not bad. Bows is not bad. I actually think bows is good. I think they're really good. And, you know, Fubgun's been saying bows are bad, and I had to name check him, because if I didn't, people would be like, oh, you know who said this. No, like, it's fine. You know, we'll call him out by name, and because that's what everybody is referencing when they say, well, Fubgun said bows are bad. And I'm trying to convince people to take my build seriously, because I want people to have fun and follow along with me. So he didn't like that. I figured he wouldn't like that, but I did it anyway. And then that spawned into all kinds of stuff. Here is a real short clip of one of his recent comments on it, just so you can hear it from his voice, not just from me claiming what he says.
The other things, news pubs are all padded, dude. I didn't like want to say this, 'cause I didn't like want to just like be mean, but literally every pub he has is padded. Every single one. Have you guys seen his pubs?
So I promise we're almost done with this POV thing, but there you go. You heard it from him, and yeah, I mean, like I said, he's gone in and he's looked at all this different stuff, and he says I'm just messing with the numbers, that all this stuff isn't even real, and that it basically means nothing, and I've just done it wrong. I've just straight done it wrong, and I probably did it wrong on purpose, is essentially what he's applying to tons of people in a cross-pollination community. For me, who is trying to come off as authentic as I can, at the same time. So the funny thing is I don't really think much different would have happened if I hadn't name checked him. I wouldn't have gotten, you know, such terrible like to dislike ratio in the last couple of videos for sure. But you know, I think roughly the same number of people are going to follow what I'm doing anyway. You know, they were either going to or they weren't, and either I was just going to shuffle quietly into the night and just let him take everyone, because they put their trust in him, or I'm going to speak up and on behalf of an archetype that he's not even playing, yet he makes the guide for. Well, I thought it would be a decent idea to take that second option, since I knew this was just going to get worse over time. Obviously, this was going to happen eventually, because for me, again, the shots were fired incrementally going back a couple years, especially 3.25. You can listen to his side of the story too. Go to his community, see what he has to say about that, but that is my backstory with him. So we're going to move to the next section. It's called Words versus Words. And this one's a bit of an unfortunate one for me because my words don't seem to be reaching people. But this is kind of where the story progresses beyond the initial backstory. And I'm going to play many clips in here of both him showcasing me doing something, you know, ridiculing what I'm doing and talking about trash about bows. And yeah, we're just going to take this one clip at a time. And yeah, stay tuned. We're going to start with a particular clip where he basically says there's three things. This is kind of a summarizing clip where towards the end he said that there are three cardinal sins essentially that I've committed in his eyes, and we're gonna look at these three sins here all at once.
Oh, dude, the amount of shit you say is just too cooked, Snoo. I'll be real. What you're saying is completely wrong. Like the first three things you said, where tier 17s aren't important, the killing the boss is not important in the first week, is completely cucked.
All right, so if you don't know where this came from, this is off of the heels of the comments that I made in my second to last video, name checking him about talking about how it wasn't all about like tier 17 farming, just rushing. People can play the way they want. And the overarching message of that video was, you guys, you can play what you want. If you want to play bows, great. If you don't, fine. You don't need me or him to tell you what to play. That was actually the final words out of my mouth in that video. But here he says, I say that T17s weren't important. And that's an interesting word choice because I definitely never used that word. And I see this play. I've looked at a lot of clips and honestly kind of flabbergasted at how many times he uses words that I didn't use, putting them in my mouth here. I never said T17s weren't important. I definitely never said that they would certainly not be the best thing to farm early on, which in his mind, they are the sort of be all end all of, like, you know, get in as fast as you can, day 2, day 3, and farm. What I said, I recall, is that T17s aren't necessary to make good currency at league start. That is what I said. And that's actually a different thing than saying T17s aren't important. They're important because they're part of the ecosystem. I mean, hell, you drop T17 maps and T16 maps, so they're clearly important for that too. But yeah, this is, I don't know, this is just kind of a point of disagreement. I think a lot of talking past each other has gone on here, and this is one of the reasons why I need to make the video to address this point. This is at the heart of you know, debunking what he says about T17s, bows, and all that stuff. We're going to get into a lot more of this as we go on. Now let's quickly listen to number 2 on the list.
Needed hunter buffs and shrine buffs to kill a tier 17 boss when your POB is supposedly 200 mils completely cooked.
Okay, now, well, actually, looking at my path of building for my league starter, not what he's referring to. So he's referring to an elemental hit of the spectrum endgame, super endgame final version from 3.25. Because again, I played the build, I leveled it all the way through. This is a few weeks in, and I was farming tier 17, doing some pretty challenging stuff. And he's referencing this video right here. Now the problem is I don't actually have enough, because of the shrine effects disappearing, I don't really have enough to kill the boss, probably.
He doesn't have enough hunter buffs to kill the boss. Oh my god, dude. And he has the audacity to say bows in tier 17 are fine. What the f? You're telling me with 230 million DPS, you need hunter buffs to kill the boss? Are you serious?
Now I'm going to give him a little bit of extra credit here. He knows this build can do T17 bosses. He knows that. So he's very misleading here, and even remotely suggesting that I can't do it, or that the build not strong enough to do it. He knows bows well enough to do. I know he knows well enough that this would just absolutely cream bosses. And if you want to see any proof of that, fine. It's not like I need to boot up anything special. We can just continue rolling the tape, because I said it was fake news. It was really one of those situations where the clip was taken out of context, or wrapped within the context within itself, but then 10 seconds later, guess what I did? Now the problem is I don't actually have enough, because of the shrine effects disappearing, I don't really have enough to kill the boss, probably. I don't know though, we'll try. Let's try it out. Now, in previous iterations of builds, I would not do this boss with only 14 headhunter buffs. I would actually have like no chance of killing it. It just wouldn't do anywhere near enough damage. But you could see there, I had plenty of damage. I mean, look at that. That's all right. Still got to kind of avoid the damage there. A little bit of a close call, but yeah, I mean, I'm not relying on head. I mean, I'm not even a Fizz variant, so no Fizz is extra going on here. I don't think there was very much in the way of Headhunter help. I mean, that's just pure damage from the build. Wow, look at that. I killed the boss. Pretty decisively. Now, did I take some damage? Yeah, because it's this boss on this setting with Delirium and Wisp, and the boss gets like like exponentially wisped over the time. Which people who know this content knows that's the case. So it gets a little precarious. And if I say I would have never had enough damage to do this boss, yeah, I'm referring to this, not just this map. I'm referring to the entire strategy with all of its moving parts. Make the map quite difficult. All the scarabs involved, all the delirium orbs involved, the particular map boss involved. So anyway, I just had to get that out there. I mean, it was number 2 on the list, so let's go ahead and move to number 3.
Saying bows are the best they've been since Crucible League is entirely cooked. Saying bows are better than Affliction League, better than Total League, even better than Acropolis League.
I don't know why this offended him so much. He really took offense to this comment, like I was trampling over his pride and joy or something, or his intelligence, offending his intelligence. First of all, on its face, it's a matter of opinion. This is like Bocuck energy kind of stuff here. I really shouldn't even have to bring this up. From either of our ends, by the way. For me to be talking about this, for him to be offended by it. I'm not sitting here trying to say bows are the greatest thing of all time. I'm just saying in the confines of where bow builds are, which I think he understood that as a premise. Now, to me, the Warden is a sort of secret weapon that is just unbelievably enabling. And for me, when I made that statement, of course, I was thinking mostly about the League Star experience because it was the smoothest League Star experience I ever had. Smoother than Crucible, for sure. And I've League Star bows all the time, most of the time. And it just made a complete mockery of the content leading up through, you know, getting the Void Stones. And I was able to do even like invitations and stuff that I wouldn't normally do. And so I was able to just kind of break through stuff much earlier and progress much more quickly. And you're going to see what I was sporting in day 2 in particular later on in this video.
No, bows are bad. And I literally play what I think is best. This is literally true every single league. Last league I played LS because I thought LS was the best, and it turned out LS was the best. For that I played bows. I thought bows was the best.
Really? LS Lightning Strike Slayer was the best, or Warden for that matter. So many different ways I've thought about responding to this clip. Cooler heads are going to prevail, but I'm not going to do this without leaving you guys a morsel. How can Lightning Strike be the chosen build, the best build, if you don't play it from start to finish? Maybe it was the best league starter. Maybe that's what he meant. But you see, he likes using words too. Okay, he chooses his words very carefully. He has accused me of twisting my words in the past, and so this is why we're kind of pausing on this clip. This is the reason why, because he said that about me. This is the reason why we're pausing on this clip. When he refers in such absolutes as it is the best, period, you don't even leave yourself any wiggle room. Like you can't say that, because if he says that, then it means he must play it all the way through. If he purports to always do the best thing, and that's his core part of his brand, then how could he ever switch to a different build under any circumstances? It turns out Lightning Strike didn't hack it, you know, for the deep in-game stuff. He played Penance Brand later. Was that a build that he created too? I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Not from scratch, anyway. Pretty sure that was an idea from one of his viewers, and that's fine. Great inspiration. But you know, if he's gonna switch to another build, and then he's gonna switch to yet another build later, Ephemeral Edge Trickster, because that's what was enabling Giant, Rogue Exile, Bosses, Shrines, Titanic, all that stuff, then I guess somebody had a better idea, because they were playing the premier build, the best build of the league in the end. All they had to do was say, This is the best build early on at league start. And I know it may seem like I'm making something out of nothing, but again, this is where your words matter. You know, when you have a huge audience, you keep leading people to believe that, you know, you are the absolute best at everything and anything, and that anything you choose to do is the best. Even if you didn't choose the build that ended up being the very best, people are just going to keep on believing, you know, what is said. And if it's said in absolutes, and if nobody challenges on that, nobody really minces words, then, you know, that just keeps growing and growing and growing out of control. And so he just gets a pass, I guess, on all of this stuff. Anytime he says anything like this, if he can put words in my mouth, maybe it's unfair for me to put words in his mouth. Maybe I can't critique the words he uses. I don't know. But yeah, that's all. I'm just leave it at that. Again, there were so many different ways. I wasn't sure whether I'd dial it up to a 4, a 7, an 11 on this, but we're going to keep it pretty tame.
Bro, I don't even understand, dude. Like, bows are absolutely garbage. Snoo wants to start drama for literally no reason. Literally everyone thinks bows is shit, but SnooBAE. I don't know, dude. It's just like bullshit.
All right, well, that's just a nice way to cap it off, I guess. I'm the only one who thinks bows are good. And so why the hell would anybody play my build if I think bow's good? When he says something like that, then nobody's going to play my build. It's just kind of a constant barrage of hyperbole and interesting word choice and putting words in other people's mouths that it just gets a little bit out of hand over time, I think.
I did play Warden. I played it twice. I play a lot. I play a lot more than you. I know, like, I played Warden a lot.
Well, there you heard it. I mean, he's played Warden a lot. I'm surprised he even dared claim that he played it more than me. What? I could play Warden bows for like 3 months straight from start to finish. I know he didn't do that.
When I played Warden both in the Acropolis restart, SSF adventure in Sellers restart, not Sellers restart, Sellers when I did Zero to Hero. I also tested Warden when I did my bow character in Sellers as well. I played Warden 3 times.
Okay, with context. Now I got it. All right, so he's played Warden like 3 separate times. I think he actually misspoke. Warden in Acropolis League? What? All right, he's played Warden 3 separate times, and one of them was a bow character, but it was just testing. But the total summation of his experience in that means he played Warden more than me, and therefore most definitely knows more than me about the Warden.
Like, Snoo, what you're saying is just like completely false. And then you make these build guides that have like 2.5k HP.
Bro, that's my path of building. It's open right there to the actual like early endgame, the earliest endgame loadout. The amount of life is literally on the screen. It says 3156, 3156. What's up with the hyperbole? 2500? Where does that number even come from? Now, it seems like I might be nitpicking here, but anyone who's played bows actually knows that there's a pretty big difference between 2500 and 3100 life. But like, it just seems so easy to just use the number that's actually true. It's right there.
So you're not in danger. You enter maps, you die 3 times, and then you say you're not beating new players. Like, dude.
And I guess, you know, I'm gonna die 3 times at least on any sort of hard content map. Okay, we're starting to set the stage, as you guys can see.
And saying you're the best defense. Like, Breeze is a good defense slayer, but you can't have like 2.5k HP. You die all the time.
There's that number again. Is Freeze a defense layer, guys? What do we want to call it? You want to get into semantics? A defense layer, a survivability mechanism, practical defense? I mean, what do you want to call it? It's effective. It's highly effective. And you're going to see just how effective it is in a little while.
And then you have like the audacity to say bows are the best they ever been. Like, that's just completely delusional. To think bows are literally the best they ever been is completely delusional.
All right, we're bordering on ad hominems here, but maybe we haven't technically reached that level yet. Let's keep going.
Like, but bows take the longest to do tier 17 content in a tier 17 meta.
Okay, here we got more evidence of his core stance on where the game is at. All right, tier 17 meta, and bows struggle on that. All right, remember that.
Was a strong late game? Yeah, when you have like 300, 400 divines, and even then they're weak in other builds. Those last patch were weak in the Penance brand, or weak in the Lightning Strike.
Well, at least this time he managed to recall that he swapped to Penance Brand from that other best build.
Like, dude, bows in tier 17 are so dog shit, man.
Yep, okay. We're taking it all the way home. Bows suck. T17's important. Bows suck at it.
And it's like, it's just bullshit, dude. Like, just claiming shit that's not true is annoying as fuck. Like, do not claim shit you have no idea what you're talking about. I hate that shit. I ban those people on Twitch chat. Don't say shit like tier 17 bosses are irrelevant for currency early on. It's just literally, like, just stop talking. You don't know what you're talking about.
Well, here's a new epiphany for me. You are not allowed to claim shit you don't know what you're talking about in front of Fubgun. And you know, you know what you know, he knows what he knows, but he also knows what you don't know. Even though that might not seem possible, that's evidently the case. And you know, God forbid if he were to ever not know what he's talking about. That I don't know. I don't even know how he'd reconcile that actually.
I don't want drama, dude. I literally no idea like fucking Snooze is starting drama for no reason. Do you think bows are fucking the best? He's literally the only person who thinks bows are the best. When he's dying like 4 times a map, 2.5k HP, and just tier 17's like 2 weeks in, and then still dies 4 times a map, and then still thinks bows are the best. I literally don't understand at this point.
You really have no idea why I'm saying any of this? Like, after this video, he's gonna know. There's no way he doesn't know after this video. It's called defending your honor, man. It's called, like, you know, you feel like your integrity is attacked, your place in the community is coming into question. It seems completely unsubstantiated from your own viewpoint, and it's been something that's been going on for years. Not starting with Fubgun, actually, but progressively transitioning into that in an area, in an arena where there's a lot of, you know, competition in that space, the bow area, you know how it is, right? So in case it wasn't crystal clear, that is why.
I don't know, dude. I think you're completely delusional. I don't have anything else to say at this point. You claim so many shit that you have no experience on, and that makes me like upset.
So you're upset now. Just remember this. I'm delusional only if he's right and I'm wrong about everything, literally everything. If there's, I mean, he keeps painting himself in his corner. If there's a single thing that I prove he's wrong on, well, that's just it. I mean, that's what you get when you put yourself on that high of a pedestal, being, you know, like, you can't possibly be wrong about anything. Always do the best, always know the best, and chastise anyone who even claims to know more than he does, or not even that, actually, just to claim to know something that they may or may not know, and some assuming that they don't know about it. And that really just doesn't leave a lot of breathing room, you know, to get along, does it?
Like, you're claiming stuff about tier 17s early on, which is something you have never done. Like, you never done like Fortress Day 2, and then you're claiming it's irrelevant for like currency early on. It's like you're talking about subjects you literally don't know anything about.
All right. Well, I mean, it's starting to crystallize here. I think the criteria that are at play. So I don't have the experience, and I've never done Fortress Day 2 on any character. And here I am wanting to roll some garbage trash bow build that I made, which is also trash because I made it. And nobody should listen to me. Nobody. Because I haven't done tier 17s. And they're the only thing that matter. Especially around day 2.
Tier 17 is so hard you see for frags alone? Yeah. Like, Yoke is literally 20D like day 2, day 3. And that was true for both Necropolis, and that was true for Settlers.
Well, okay, Yoke. He's referring to Yoke of Suffering off of the final boss in the Fortress map, tier 17. So another great piece of intel. Now we really solidifying what matters the most. And what it takes to do the best strat is you got to be able to go in there around day 2, day 3 at the latest, I guess, and be able to kill that boss to get that drop. So basically, this entire conversation is taking place inside his Twitch chat, which is obviously the lion's den from my vantage point, and things are going to be kind of heated. But he's talking to me in front of, like, I don't know, 2,000 people, and obviously we weren't seeing eye to eye on literally anything. I guess I'm happy enough that he even interacted, but I decided to just type one last thing out because I didn't want like any crazy bad blood. But here's what I said.
I respect you, so you disagree strongly about bows. We're talking past each other, and you're hyper assessed with only what the absolute best farm is and the extent of what the best build is in that context. If it's the best build, period. I don't see the game that way. It's not just about that though. It's talking about stuff you don't have experience on.
And that was the comment that was returned to me for that. So again, he just absolutely cannot stand it. Doesn't matter. Show grace, nothing, just can't stand the idea that somebody else is using their platform to express an idea that he thinks is incorrect.
Yeah, Warden League starts trash. I'll say that too. Your attack speed's slow. You don't instantly freeze everything. You die so often. I hate Warden League Start too. I think Warden's pretty good when you have currency because I played it. I played Warden like 2 or 3 times. I think it's pretty good when you have currency.
Now take a look at this chatter right here. Now, it's generally speaking, it's not a very good habit of using a chatter to speak for somebody else. But I got to think, how could I steel man Fubgun's argument here? And I think this chatter did it for me. I mean, just right there, he says you need to understand that Fub's comments towards bows are based around players with the same mindset as him. Okay, so we're not talking about you, random dad with 5 kids. We're talking about Fubgun with his juicer sweat lord extraordinaire. 20 hours a day is being soft, kind of, especially, well, on day 1 anyway, I guess. Sorry, I shouldn't be hyperbolic like that. My bad. Okay, I don't want to do that. But anyway, continuing, that are interested in pushing maximum currency per hour, which is tier 17 farming. At this point, any dogshit build can farm tier 16. Okay, so this is why tier 16 don't matter, because any build can do it. Even if bows are like the best at it, still doesn't matter. But if you want to make good currency, hey, I used that phrase before, good currency first few days, you need to move to pinnacle content like tier 17. So maybe good currency doesn't actually mean like decent currency. Maybe it means like really good currency. Yeah, the English language is hard, guys. I mean, I thought good currency just meant, you were doing okay and making a decent progression curve, but okay, I guess tier 16s aren't good currency, which bows can't push. He's not being general when he's saying bows are dog shit. He's saying they're dog shit for min-max currency farming week 1, which they are. And I love that which they are, that sort of absolutist cap off of it. I mean, that's so Fubgun right there. I mean, I think he would say, I think he'd totally sign off on this. He'd probably write his signature at the bottom of this comment, I would say, because I mean, it just seems to fit exactly in the framework of everything he said. Good job, Mr. Chatter. You know Fubgun very well. Now we're going to get to the juicy stuff. Actions versus words. So why did I have these categories like it's words versus words? Well, it's my word versus his word in the previous section of the video. And that just means, to whatever point I can leverage my standing in the community, I can, say my difference of opinion or claims, and they'll have X amount of weight, right? It doesn't really work, though, if his standing in the community is a lot higher than mine. And it would seem, I think most of you in the know obviously can tell, that things seem pretty lopsided there. Now, I might have gone quietly into the night if it weren't for one universal truth, and that is, it doesn't matter how big or how small you are, how much influence you have. Words versus words, that's one thing. Actions versus words, actions trump words every single time. I mean, it just doesn't matter. Like if you're gonna, commit, you got to do the action. You got to do the test. You got to make the proof. Okay, and it's best if you can do it within the parameters that have been set for you. So what are these parameters? Let's review a list here. I got a nice little list here, I think, that perfectly surmises where Fubgun's mind is here. What we've learned so far is that bows in general, in the current state of the game, are trash. Okay, Warden is only good in the late end game with a lot of currency invested. Tier 17s are the only farming that matters early in League Start, and bows can't do Tier 17 bosses day or 2 or 3, I mean. The Fortress boss is the best because it drops the Yoke of Suffering worth 20 divines. And he hates with a passion when people claim to know something that they don't know anything about. So the stage is set, okay? Now, what if there was a way? Is there anything I could possibly do to convince you, him, all the followers, you know, to maybe, just maybe, earn some respect back in this place? I kind of got to thinking there probably is. And it's going to have something to do with taking a League Start Day 2 viable Warden and going into a Tier 17 Fortress map and clearing it with relative ease. I think that would probably just be right about on the money. And so that's what I think we'll do. Now get a load of this. This is where, man, this is where receipts come in real handy. I am so fortunate that I made some videos back in 3.25, the same build, the Warden League Starter bows, and that I plotted out and gave different progression points for day 1, day 2, and day 3, which means I have POBs that have been saved from way back then that show the exact gear setup that I had. Day 2 seems to be the linchpin where all of this is hanging on. So why don't we open up day 2, which said this build can do bosses as a thumbnail. Yeah, I did the, what was it? The Conquer invitation. I don't normally even do that, but it was perfectly capable of being done with the character that I had at day 2. I was quite surprised. So if you look down here, you'll see the path of building is right there at the time of recording. And if we just go in here and we just copy paste it right in, and voila, level 93 artillery ballista one, really. 2,500 life, just kidding, 28,650. All right, so maybe life's a little bit low on there. And my goodness, you know, hold on a second. Let me just do this. Let me actually load up my official build guide for 3.26. Actually, I didn't update the thing here. Let's go to items. And that is eerily similar, isn't it? Wow, it's almost like I set out to do exactly what I planned. Okay, well, that's a lot of the same items. I mean, the fledgling helmet, it's the only different one. What about the bows? Maybe the bows big difference. No, it's almost a 1-for-1 copy. Almost a 1-for-1 copy on these bows. Pretty wild. All right, well, the flasks are pretty much the same. And the fledgling helmet is better. It is at least a little bit better. But, you know, the heat shiver is fine. And I actually realized looking at this a little deeper that I had heat shiver on right before it. You know how I know that? Because my resistance is 50. So heat shiver gives, you know, 25-ish res. So I did have a heat shiver and just didn't have the equation solved quite yet. I was planning to go to Kintsugi body armor with this. And that's kind of the mock setup that I used back in 3.25. I think Daryl's Defiance or Kintsugi is fine. Yeah, now I know exactly what a day 2 Warden Bow character is capable of achieving. And thanks to our commenter here, really solidified the idea that we're not talking about everyday people. We're talking about the absolute sweatiest min-maxers. We're talking about people who are even better and faster than me. So if I can get gear this good by day 2, with no crazy lucky drops, by the way, then Fubgun could do, if anything, a lot better. If anything, a lot better, right? So here we are. Check it out. Here's the passives. Precise technique. I haven't even gone crit yet. The Atlas, some generic thing, made a little bit harder with whatever increase effect. I'm just going to scroll through all the gear right here. This is the same character essentially that I've mocked up, set up. It just happened to match exactly, almost exactly with what I did at the end of day 2. So it just doesn't get much better than this. And guys, I'm going to do this with one hand tied behind my back. I'm not going to swap to crit, which I promise you, Fubgun would never in a million years start doing a T17 boss before swapping to crit on a build like this. And then I'm doing it on 5-link with no secret weapon in the background, nothing. It's all uncut, a fortress map right there. And voila, here we go. Let's see what happens. So the Warden is going to look a lot like the Deadeye on the outside, but it's going to play quite a bit differently in the map. As you can see, it's very slow, way slower than a Deadeye. I mean, way slower, right? And something weird is happening to the monsters. They're basically not attacking. They're just sitting there, just standing there. They never do anything. And I would say the barrels are probably more lethal in this map than any one of the monsters, because if I just run over one, I would die. So rares, you know, magic, everything's just blowing up, everything getting deleted. Even rares will die pretty quickly here. So, you know, I'm just making my way. I feel like I'm moving fast enough. We have a dangerous pack of monsters here. This is a magic pack of tunnelers. I mean, they would rip a Deadeye to shreds and sometimes, but for some reason they too are stuck even right after coming out of the ground. And here it is. Here's the boss. I mean, this is the big moment, guys. This is the one that matters. We got Maven on the map, which means I barely get a chance to attack at all, which is one of the Warden's specialties. And that makes the map harder, but it's okay. You know, we're counting the seconds are ticking. I know, but it seems like a relatively decent pace, I would say. You know, for some garbage bow build, obviously, pretty halfway decent, I'd say. Since I'm not even supposed to be able to do this, definitely not supposed to be doing this. Not allowed. Okay, because I don't know anything. So you know, the fact that I would just make a video showcasing the exact replica of a build on day 2 and just go in here and breeze through it. I only got 3,200 life. You should rewind this VOD and see how much damage I took on this map. It might surprise you, actually. But guys, that's it. That's that video. Short and sweet. 38-second kill. That means roughly 3.1 million practical DPS. Obviously, it would have been higher without Maven's secondary help there. You might be wondering how I was able to do that, why the boss seemed kind of sluggish. Well, it was moving at 50% action speed, that's why. And the reason why all the monsters weren't moving is because the Warden just freezes everything. And even though T17 bosses can't be hard frozen, they can be made where the DPS window is wide open a lot more, generally speaking. And so you not only do more damage because build does more damage on paper, but you actually do even more because you can stand and shoot. That's especially good for ballista totems. Okay, we're back in game. Let's talk about what just went down. Well, the Warden was able to pull it off with flying colors, I'd say, with one hand tied behind my back. Again, remember, 5-link, no crit. Okay, no one in their right mind would probably go into a tier 17 on a bow build in day 2, let alone on a 5-link and no crit. And so I just figured I'd do that, you know, just to really drive the point home and for added entertainment purposes, just to show how capable it is doing it. I beat him at his own game, okay? Like a child who sets the parameters for anything and everything for the game they want to play and won't play any other game except the game they want to play because that's the only one that matters to them. I went over to his turf. I accepted the terms. I folded myself in a pretzel to make everything perfect, to fit exactly within the theme of what I was supposed to do to make it work. And I did the impossible because, you know, he knows more than I do about what bows are capable of doing. And apparently I just did something that can't be done. So that's on him, not me. I didn't paint myself into a corner and say it could only be done this. This is what happens when you talk in absolutes. You leave the door wide open for me to just come in and walk right through it. And so that's exactly what I did. Now, I wouldn't have ever had to do anything like this if, you know, all of us didn't blow out into the open in the first place. But I figured, hell, why not? That's what people just keep saying, bows are bad, they're trash, all right? And that there's only one thing that matters, and it's tier 17 farming. So, I mean, it's that easy, fine, just do it. Now, let me actually say this, okay? Because I like full transparency. I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. A lot of you probably are seeing this right now and saying, holy shit, I want to play this build, because what did I just witness? The impossible? All right. Is this something that you could have done if you league started on day 2, if you're a dad with 5 kids? Well, first of all, you probably wouldn't be farming the fortress map on day 2 with 5 kids. You'd probably be doing T16 dunes at best. And unfortunately, I have to tell you that that's also a trash strat, because it doesn't really matter. Just kidding. That's perfectly fine. You can do that if you want. And that's been my message overall. You can play the game however you want. If you were, let's say, pretty fast but didn't have very good high technical skill or whatever, probably, I mean, if I can do it, obviously Fubgun would be a master at it, because he can play the game better than I, faster, better, everything. But perhaps you, dad with 5 kids, wouldn't have fared nearly as well as I did, even if monsters stand still at the sheer side at you, frozen in place. Still might not have worked out as well for you. It might be smarter to use a different build, maybe his build, that would on average perform a fair bit better at this critical point in a bow build's journey and progression. Truly one of the weakest points that it has, and I think Fubgun would agree with that. So while I kind of defied the odds, this is a precarious point in progression, right before, even after a crit swap with this gear. And so don't expect the moon here, okay? But still, I don't think that takes away from what I just did. And hopefully, if you guys can see the perseverance, see the will, the determination, the conscientiousness, and all the good things that I care about in the brand of this channel, and see what I did, hopefully you can appreciate it and respect it, because while I really want to say it was easy right now, the entire process of everything wasn't that easy. So hopefully this at least allows me to save some face in the community. For the remainder of this video, we're going to go over just some real quick points that you might be interested in knowing why this build works the way it does. Okay, so the Warden has double Oath of Summer, or Oath of Summer, which is double Scorch, up to 60% reduced ailment, or rather reduced resistances. You will have seen the boss at one point had minus 28% res. Duped, that was during Avatar of the Wilds, which do even more damage. And then Oath of Spring is good. Oath of Winter is the superhero. Notable, that is what allowed me to just get away with absolute murder in there and not have to really deal with any of the mechanics except for the boss. So the boss was a little hard, and I had to like run around and do some stuff, obviously. You would hope that on day 2, a boss wouldn't be a complete joke for any character. Otherwise, it's not very good game design, is it? Everything else here is pretty conventional, although not going crit yet means I have extra points for, you know, luxury slots like some of these points here. But I mean, everything else looks about the same. I chose to use a couple of specialized items. One is very, very good Pain Seeker, and it doesn't matter if you crit or not. This downside can be pretty rough, but it doesn't matter much when you're using Elemental Hit of Spectrum, which is 49% chance to freeze, shock, and ignite automatically. And you saw I have more points in the tree, and have nearly 100% regardless. Now, what this does is it essentially triples the ailment threshold of Scorch and Freeze. This is why it still worked in a T17 map with flying colors, because of these gloves. They have great flat, and yes, while I know it's absolutely taboo to go against the conventional wisdom of Rage, Eldritch Influence glove, which are good, I think these gloves provided a very special niche boost to the build. The other major thing is Lionized Paws, a pseudo 6-link out of this. I've talked about this before. Believe it or not, Elemental Weakness, Hex Touch support is more powerful than Sniper's Mark here, both for single target and for trash, from my understanding. Culling Strike is in here as well, and Bone Chill support. I wouldn't have this link unless I'm using these boots, okay? Bone Chill and Ahuana's Bite double up in maximum capacity, and we had this utterly useless POB Warrior node mastery here, the Cold Mastery, 50% increased damage taken. I mean, on a 38-second fight, obviously that had a little bit better than 3 or 4 second uptime, I think. And everything else is pretty much there, okay? A lot of it matches the same build he had, other than having my hands tied behind my back, going no crit and a 5-link. Everything just looks kind of similar as how he would have probably set things up, which brings another point. He tested Tier 17 Fortress on a Deadeye. I saw him do it on stream a while back, and he apparently didn't think it was good enough. Apparently, it must have went so poorly he thought bows were terrible. He did it on a Hiri's Iron, a crit bow, and an investment. I think he claimed 40, 50 div, actually, at the time. Can't remember exactly, but regardless, it didn't go very well for him. I don't know why. Maybe because he wasn't able to freeze anything. Maybe it was because he couldn't slow the boss down by 50% action speed. That might have had something to do with it as well. The Fortress boss gets really easy when it slows down by 50% action speed. I mean, its mechanics are not that hard to deal with. It's just the pacing that's annoying on that fight. So while Dad Gamer with 5 kids probably wouldn't have been able to pull this off, Snoo Gamer with no kids was, and Fubgun, I'm telling you, if he was piloting this character, he might not have been wrong about bows. So either I was right, or honestly and more truthfully, I guess somebody else doesn't actually know what they're talking about. Not this time, at least. So we've now reached the conclusion of the video. I happen to have a list of 3 cardinal sins I think Fubgun has committed here. He listed off 3 earlier in the video, and so we went through them, so I think it's only fair that I offer my criticism as well here towards the end. You tell me what you think. Number 1, claiming to know the very best farming strategy to play in a league and economy that hasn't even launched yet. Number 2, chastising my builds, damaging my reputation over make-believe path building numbers, while having never played any of my builds in the first place. Number 3, proclaiming a whole host of toxic things about me and bows while not even realizing they can do his most optimal farm at the most optimal time, even in the least optimal point of a bow build's natural progression. So he can defend himself, obviously, if he'd like, but those are the 3 big ones I feel are definitely at the top of my list for everything that's been going on so far. And obviously, number 3 wouldn't apply unless I had done what I'd done, but well, actions speak louder than words, and you can't argue with actions, so I think we'll include it on the list. Final message to all of you guys here who stuck around to the end, okay? So, you guys know where I'm coming from. You know my brand. I'm not hiding it one bit, okay? It's one of integrity. It's trying to be as upfront and honest, forthright, thorough, and seeking respect from others, okay? Offering respect freely in advance and then hoping to see it return back to me. That's what I'm all about. And maybe you think that's cringe, or maybe you think I went over the top. But I'll tell you something, cringe is just another way of saying you don't care about the same thing as somebody else. But you know what I know? I know everybody cares about something very much, including you, whoever you are watching this. And this is what I care about. So this is why I felt like the video had to be made. There are different creators for all kinds of different stuff. Okay, there's a place to go where the brand is, over the top, crazy music, clown world, maybe toxic, just always rah, rah, rah. There's a place to go if you're wanting chilled, relaxed atmosphere. Don't take anything too seriously. Like, that's fine too. That's a great place as well. There's places to go if you want to stay on top of the new best thing, and you're the sweat lord, and you got to always be in the know about all the best stuff, right? There's a place to go if you appreciate the more methodical approach, the doing everything through testing and setting out and accomplishing what you set out to do. And that's obviously more on my end, but either way, whichever one you like and choose, I hope you find it amicable on the whole. And if it's more in the way of my direction, you're obviously welcome to come by on Twitch or obviously in the comments section down below. And now I have a message for Mr. Fubgun himself. And my message goes like this. What you say matters, for better or worse, which means you have a responsibility to the community to be respectful towards others, whether it's me, a fellow content creator, or some random viewer asking like good faith questions, opinions on bow builds. Could be for 3.26, it could be your build, it could be my build, it could be anyone else's build. You know better than most the importance of a build creator's image, their image in the community. Your complete disregard for me and my brand in this space has honestly led us to this place, and this is why we're here. Now, it's not all, dark and dreary. I should honestly thank Fubgun. Yeah, I really should thank him, because it's interesting, in life, you just kind of go along for the ride, and then something crazy happens, and whether it's your fault or not, this time I feel like it was unsubstantiated, but it creates a humbling experience, especially if you think it's unsubstantiated, because it puts you through the ringer, right? And it has a tendency to change your life a little bit. When you see people start treating you differently, and suddenly everybody's perception of you is darkening, and sometimes you're wondering if maybe you're not the guy for the job, right? And I guess eventually you just kind of got to drink the poison. You got to drink the poison to see what happens, to see if you come out the other side unscathed, to see if maybe you can, learn some new skills, get enlightened, just figure things out. And I kind of went through that process. I got my mind's eye, was able to kind of look forward and see what all the different possibilities, different things that I could have done in this moment. And I saw one particular possibility that looked the best. It was making this video. And so while the drama seems to have ended, at least on my end, the story must continue, as written. You didn't think I'd really lost my sense of humor, did you?
I'm pointing the way! Is that okay?